Opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily the views of the WARE staff, management, or our sponsors.
Paid for by the committee to elect Deborah Boronsky for state senator at boronskyforsenate.com and is responsible for the content of this program.
Jobs are the number one solution to helping our communities get back on their feet. So what should we be doing now to get our economy moving? Taking Care of Business is a weekly show hosted by Deborah Boronsky, president of the Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce and candidate for state senate. Deborah will introduce local business owners and discuss what we should be doing to help them grow so they can hire more people. Now, here's Deborah.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Taking Care of Business, a weekly talk show that will introduce you to our local business owners and give you a chance to learn what they are doing to help us create jobs and make our communities better. This is Deborah Boronsky, and I'm the president of the Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce and candidate for state senate in the 1st Hamden, Hampshire district. Hope you are having a fabulous afternoon so far and enjoying your lunch perhaps. Everyone knows that the number one solution to helping our communities grow and get back on their feet is by creating jobs. And I know full well from being the president of the Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce that it's the small community businesses that really create those jobs. The jobs of today are created by people who perhaps started their business in their garage or perhaps in their basement and then went from 1 to 3 to 10 and sometimes 20 employees, growing year after year. So for this show, who better to talk to than the people who are actually creating those jobs for us? These are the people who have the answers to how we can get our economy moving, because these are the people who are hiring our unemployed. Our guests this afternoon are Cindy and Anthony Maloney. They are the owners of Cindy's Drive-In, which is located in Granby, Massachusetts. If you've not been there, after today, I believe you will be running there, because I will tell you personally that their ice cream is beyond ridiculous in a good way. I'm here with both Cindy and Anthony, as I said, with Cindy's Drive-In. Their business is a local, family-owned business. It's been operating in Granby for, they'll be celebrating their 20th anniversary tomorrow, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But this restaurant it's a very interesting statistic. This is one of the very few drive-ins that are left in what is now a very dominated restaurant, large chain industry. So I want to welcome both of you to the show, and thanks for being here.
Hi, Deborah. Good to be here.
Hi. Good afternoon, Deborah. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. It was great that you both stopped by. I had a booth at the East Longmeadow Carnival for 6 days, and you stopped by to say hello, and that was really nice of you, and that's how we ended up having you come on the show. So why don't you start, the two of you, talking a little bit about your background, husband and wife running a local business, which I think is a lovely thing. You're both here, which I also think is lovely. Why don't you start with a little bit of the background about your company and how it began, its beginnings?
Okay. Well, we started about 21 years ago. My husband was laid off from United Technologies. He worked at Pratt & Whitney and Hamilton Standard. And he got laid off. I had 6 children, all at home. Maybe one was in college at that time, but it was just still 6 kids at home to support. And so that was kind of hard. So we were looking for a business to do because we had to. You have to do what you have to do. And a friend of ours told us about this building that was for sale in Granby. And we took a ride by there, and it was Frank's at the time. And we thought he was doing great because he had some people there. So we bought it. And my husband can tell you how we happened to get the financing for that, but that wasn't easy when you're unemployed to get a bank to, fund you.
Right. It's even harder today as opposed to 20 years ago.
Right. I think it is. So we're lucky we were able to get in on when we did.
We had a number of years ago, I used to go out when I was younger, back around 1955, 56, and our baseball coach used to take us out to the drive-in, which at that time was called Tasty Freeze. And a number of times we had taken drives, my wife and children, through Belchertown into Granby, South Hadley, and we would stop and we noticed that it seemed like every 3 or 4 years, 5 years, the restaurant changed hands. And I had always had my eye on it. And when I got laid off, I decided that I wanted to try to go into business. My wife agreed. The two of us would like to go into business for ourselves, and the opportunity came about to purchase the drive-in, which was Frank's at the time, and then that's when we made our move forward to do it.
So was Frank's was a drive-in similar to?
Correct. Yep.
Very good. So you carried on the tradition, but it's no longer Frank's. It's
Well, it was strictly takeout when he had it. There was no inside seating, and we took it over in the fall of, I think, 85.
95.
95. 95 years fly. And so we did a lot of stuff to it. We had to put new floor in and fix the whole building up, and then we opened up in the following spring. And we learned as we went.
Well, I was going to ask you. So you were with United Technologies.
Correct.
So
Deborah, yep.
are you an engineer by trade?
I started off as an inspector, and I got my degree at UMass, working nights, and then finally I got promoted to a quality engineer. And on a Friday, they gave me a congratulations for perfect attendance for 5 years straight, and recommendation, a good job. And Monday they had layoffs, and that was out the door.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
One thing I'd like to bring up is how we got the financing for this, which was, I think, important. I had tried a number of banks, and I actually didn't get anywhere because I had no job, and I was unemployed and didn't have any money. And I went to the old SIS Bank, and there was a gentleman there, and I'm going to give you his name because he lives in Wilbraham. His name is Frank Canning.
I know Frank.
And yes, and if he's listening to the program, hello, Frank, because he helped me when nobody else did. I was turned down by at least 6 banks because I didn't have an income. And when I sat down with Frank, he said, "What do you need?" And I told him, "Frank, I'm unemployed." He says, "Yep. Do you have any checking account?" I said, "Nope." He says, "I'll help you." And within a day or two, he gave me an approval, which I'm still appreciative after 20 years.
Well, I love that you brought that up. So for folks who don't know my history, I'm currently the president of the Mass Chamber, but I worked for the affiliated chambers of Greater Springfield for 11 years. And Frank works for a company now that also provides funding for businesses. But I've known him for years. I know his wife, who also worked at the affiliated chambers.
I might go back and see him then.
Very good. Oh, okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about perhaps you're needing another loan or some more money. That's going to come out. That's exciting. Well, Frank Canning, he's a true gentleman. I agree. And his wife is quite lovely. That's a nice story. So you got the financing, even though you're unemployed. And thank goodness, because 20 years later, you are running quite an amazing business.
The only promise I made to Frank is I said, "Frank, I always pay the mortgage." And so I was able to keep that.
Very good. Very good. So you had no food service experience. So we have an engineer who, by trade, who's laid off. And we obviously know, being a mom of 6 children,
I
you
was
have
more or
all
less
the
a
experience.
stay-at-home mom. Yeah.
But I raised one child, and I can tell you, I applaud anyone who does that more than once.
Yeah,
It's a big
a lot
job.
of work.
So what made you think that you could run a restaurant?
Well,
Well, it was kind of like ignorance and being naive. We didn't know. We just, like, ignorance is bliss. We just stepped into it and taught ourselves and went around to different places, watched how they do things, and kind of learned. My 2 sons worked at Papa Gino's. One was a manager there. So they were a little familiar. They were older at that time, in their 20s, and they helped out a lot, with us, like teaching us what to do.
Hey, you have a built-in workforce with 6 children,
Yeah, we did.
right?
Right. My youngest was about 12 or 13. My son, it was just me and him one day working there. And we were just starting, so we didn't have as much business. So it was just him and I. I think a girl was going to come in but called out sick. So I was in the back cooking. He was in the front. He was maybe 13, my youngest. And all of a sudden, he pulls the curtain over. He goes, "Ma, there's a lot of cars in the parking lot, and they're parking in the road." And I looked, and unbeknownst to me, they had a soccer tournament in the field next door, and everybody was coming over.
Oh, dear.
I'd had no warning. So I'm running back and forth from the front to the back, and he's taking his time just making milkshakes, and didn't bother him in the least. And I'm trying to do 3 or 4 things at once. So that was...
Well, you obviously, with 6 children, that was nothing for you, because
Well,
doing 3 or 4 or 5 things at once on a daily
Well,
basis.
it was a little very hectic then.
Very good.
Waiting for people. Everybody's standing. There was no seating area. We seat about 17 or 20 people. And
Okay.
so people were just standing there waiting for their food, waiting to be waited on. It was very hectic, but it was a good hectic. It was a good problem to have.
I think I love this story. I love this story because, everyone needs a job, and especially places like Hamilton Standard, and I talk about this in my show. Places like Mass Mutual and Hasbro, those kinds of large, phenomenal companies they're far and few between today. We really can't count on big industry to come in and save the day. And many people do count on those jobs. But when you lose your job at a company like that, you go on unemployment and you wait. But you took the initiative, and this is something that I celebrate. You took the initiative. You took your own investment and your own time, and you started a business. That takes gumption. That takes a lot to do something like that. And as a result of you making the decision to start your own business, you have provided job opportunities for people. When you started, how many people worked there?
Well, I believe when we were first started, it was just basically mostly family. My brother-in-law, Cynthia's brother, Rusty, he helped out too. He was very, very good at helping us out. And then we had maybe 2 or 3 girls on. That was it. That's what we started with.
Okay.
And over the years, as our business started to grow, we started to add more and more help to what we are currently now, which is roughly 20, 25 girls, give or take.
20
They're all-
to 25 girls.
Yes.
Wow.
And almost none of them had a job before they came to work for us.
Right. And so this is another conversation I love to have. I think back to my very first job and then my second job, and what those things taught me about what I was good at and perhaps what I was not good at. And all of those first job experiences, they mold you as a person. And sometimes someone's very first job leads them to their career. So you've given many young people over the last 20 years their very first job, haven't you?
Yes, we have, and we've seen some of them grow up. Obviously, over 20 years, they've gotten married and have children. They bring their children back. And one girl I was telling you earlier, she went on and became a dietitian, got her master's degree, Kelly, and so she wanted to go into the food business too, in the other aspect. And then we have girls that are actuaries and many different kinds. And one of the girls that handles a lot of numbers, and she does good. She got promoted over other girls. She was saying that the reason she got promoted over the other girls is because when she cooked on the grill, she had to always think ahead, like putting the hot dog down, getting ready for the next order, the hamburger, the fries, and then getting ready for the third order. And it helped her to move along. And that's why she was able to do her job so well in the insurance company, is because she was always had to think ahead.
You taught her through food service critical thinking skills.
Yeah. Well, a lot of our help, I believe, is pretty smart. They are smart girls.
Very nice.
And they do pretty good for themselves at 16, 17, 18 years old. They
You
do
say
good.
girls. We have no boys out there cooking and serving?
Well, we do. We have my sons. I have 4 sons, so they're there, take turns. And then we did hire, we have a fellow there right now that helps with the grill.
Very good.
And he's there. So somebody asked me, why don't you hire boys? And I said, well, they don't apply.
Interesting.
You know, a lot of boys don't apply. We did have one boy apply, and he said his mother made him. So, you know, we didn't take him. But and then it's kind of an atmosphere where the boys like to work because they like to look at the girls,
girls,
and everything.
I would
So
think that would be the opposite.
that creates a little problem too. But yeah, I would love to hire more boys and work with them because I think they balance everything off.
Sure. So let me ask a question. You're hiring young people. I mean, it's a summer business, and so it's young people out of school. How old is the youngest person? How old are you when you can get your first job? I don't remember that. I think I was 15.
Yeah,
when I
you can
started
get a job
working.
when you're 15. You have to have working papers. So I think our girls are mostly 16 now.
Okay.
And but I do have a lady, Lee, that helps me out in the early spring and the fall when the kids are in school, and she's an older lady. And some of the girls come back. I had one girl come back from college or from Boston every once in a while and chip in and help out. So they come back and stick their head in and work a little bit.
So I have to imagine that the moms and dads of these children, I guess, again, I want to make a point here. The whole point of this show is for all of the folks who are listening to really appreciate the businesses that are in our local cities and towns. It is places like Cindy's that are giving our children, your grandchildren, opportunities for their first job, opportunities to learn critical thinking skills. And, you know, as a mom, I was a single mom from the time my son was 8 years old. And I was never more proud when he got his first job. It was at a local restaurant. He was a sophomore in high school, and he walked from where he was. We lived in Chicopee at the time, and he walked down to Cody's restaurant. And he washed the floor. He, scrubbed the bathrooms. He did some bussing, and then he walked home. We lived up by the Elms College at the time. And I was never so proud as a parent for him to get his first job. But I also really appreciated the owners of that company because they had to have patience with my son. It was his first job. He didn't always do it right. Sometimes he dawdled when he was leaving school to get to his job. Sometimes he wasn't as nice as he could be. And in a service company like, the restaurant industry, you have to, regardless of the job you're doing, you have to smile and be nice. Mm-hmm. So I had great respect and appreciation for the business owner as a mom mm-hmm. who gave my son his first responsibility as an employee. I'm sure parents must talk with you about those things.
I think also it's an eye-opener for a lot of the help because this is their first job, and at the end of the day, when we close, they're pretty tired. Mm-hmm. And then comes the rude awakening. We have a checklist that every night has to be done. And that's at least 4 or 5 girls now, even maybe more, my wife and my son and myself, doing the cleaning. And a lot of them never had washed dishes. They were looking for the dishwasher, which was them. And this was a big eye-opener for them to say, what do you mean we're going to stay here an extra hour and a half and clean, and mop and, bring in the bucket and bring out the water and clean the tables and pick up all the trash. So, but they developed, very good habits because of that.
That's actually a very good story.
Well, I had one girl come in and she didn't know how to use a manual can opener.
Really?
Yeah, I had to show her how to use the manual can opener because we didn't have an electric one. Still don't because you have the big cans.
You have the big cans. You can't do that.
That was kind of.
You were mentioning about business skills too. What I tell the girls here is that this is going to be the best job you ever had, and they come back and they tell me and my wife and my sons that it was the best job that they ever had. They said, we wish we could make the money we're making now, but work for you in the restaurant. And we give them recommendations. If they're good, we go out of our way. We enjoy giving them recommendations. And we get them recommendations to help them get into college as work experience. I've given girls that have gone out to California looking for jobs out there. There was another young lady about 15 years ago that worked for us. She went to school out in Salt Lake City. She decided to live there, get married, and she was looking for employment, and she called us up, and we give her a recommendation out in Utah. So it's not just the immediate that you see.
Yeah.
It's more some follow-up sometimes when it comes to employment.
Right. Well, my son still puts Cody's Restaurant on his resume. Now, he is 28 now, but
Yeah.
he like, and I'm quite proud, quite honestly. I've been working since I was 15 years old. It's something that I'm proud to say. I did not have the opportunity to go to college right after high school. I am one of 5 children, and we had to work to help our parents, and that's just the way it was. And my first job was in a silkscreen factory working for piece rate wages.
Yeah.
And then Belchertown State School, where, I really learned how lucky I am as an individual.
My daughter, my second daughter, Barbara, she was home from Baltimore. She works and lives in Baltimore, and a couple months ago. And, of course, I have my older boys working there now. And she found out that I was paying them more than her. And she didn't understand why she couldn't make the same amount of money today that she did when we were starting out in the business. And I said, Barbara, at that point, we were just trying to make the mortgage and grow the business.
Right. That's a whole other conversation about.
That's a whole other conversation, is
That's
correct.
child labor.
Well, the other conversation about being business owners and taking the risk upon yourself, and then having the responsibility of having employees. You feel very beholding and you feel very important. It feels very important to make sure that they continue to have employment. If I make a commitment to someone and say, you can work for me, I certainly don't want to have to lay them off. There have been times in my career, so I'm the president of the Mass Chamber, but I have a management company. I run small nonprofits. There have been times that I have had to put personal money into my business in order to ensure that my employees had a paycheck. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people understand, the true commitment of the small business person who is trying to build their business, what you go through to make it to 20 years, which I really want to talk about in a couple of minutes. So I think what we're going to do right now, because this is a good time to take a break, is we're just going to step away for a few minutes and have a few commercials, and then we're going to come right back and let's talk about your 20th anniversary celebration.
Okay.
To help Deborah Boronsky get elected. She's always looking for good people to make calls, knock on doors, help with sign standouts, and yes, make donations. If you want to help Deborah with her campaign, you can sign up on her website at boronskyforsenate.com or give her a call today at 413-231-2225. That's 413-231-2225. Help Deborah win this election by donating your time and talent today.
This is John Mayberry, president of Mayberry Material Handling. Established in 1976, we are Southern New England's largest one-source supplier of Crown forklifts, racking, shelving, dock and door equipment, and much, much more. We offer new products, rental, service, parts, installation, and custom welded solutions. 2014 is bringing growth for us, so we are interviewing now for road, forklift mechanics, and sales professionals in the Springfield, Hartford, New Haven areas. You can contact us at Mayberry.com. That's MAYBURY.com, or email jobs@Mayberry.com.
Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream at Cindy's Drive-In. Family-owned and celebrating 20 years as a true 50s, 60s drive-in. With over 100 flavors of soft serve and frozen yogurt and 20 flavors of hard ice cream. Cindy's Drive-In at 255 East State Street, Route 202 in Granby, Mass. Cindy's Drive-In is known for the famous Long Dog, priced to not break the bank at $1.95. Tasty onion rings, many types of burgers, and leave room for a homemade hot fudge brownie sundae. Let the kids play in their own safe play kid area. Bring the whole family to Cindy's Drive-In, Route 202 in Granby, a restaurant that keeps you coming back.
Hello, welcome back. You are here with Deborah Boronsky and Taking Care of Business. This is a weekly talk show that I use to introduce you to local business owners so you have a chance to learn what they're doing to help us create jobs and make our communities better. I'm here today with Cindy and Anthony Maloney. They are the owners of Cindy's Drive-In in Granby, and we've been talking about their 20 years in business. It's really quite a great conversation we've been having, and we're talking about all of the young people that they've employed over the past 20 years, and talking a little bit about the first experience that the young people have when they're working for the first time, and how I, as a parent, was greatly appreciative of the first person who ever hired my son and gave him some of those working skills. I'm very, very impressed with your business, and I love that this is a husband-wife team. I love the story that you worked at Hamilton or United Technologies as an engineer, and you were laid off.
After 20 years.
After 20 years.
Yeah.
You were laid off, and rather than, give up or give in and, get on the unemployment rolls, with 6 children at home, you started a company. You started a business that you knew nothing about, which I think is even better, because I have to tell you, you're doing a darn good job. Whether it took you 20 years, the ice cream is beyond amazing. And I want to congratulate the two of you and welcome you back to the show again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
And I would love to talk about, we've been talking for a little bit about, how you got started, and I'm real excited that you're celebrating 20 years. Tomorrow is your 20-year celebration. That is a milestone that is to be applauded. Why don't we talk a little bit about how that feels and what you're doing to celebrate it?
Well, when we first opened, we had, we weren't looking 20 years down the road. It was week to week and day to day, and, like you said, making ends meet just for that week and then the following week. So 20 years, we never even thought about that. And here, I don't know where 20 years went, but here we are, and it's 20 years later, and we are successful and thriving, and we want to keep it that way. So we try to do everything we can to stay, improve and stay on top. We try not to relax, but to go forward. And as far as the help goes, we try to treat them good, like family, like the way I would want my own children treated. And our customers, too, we try to treat them well.
You do, because when I ordered a small, I was part of Granby Charter Days. In my effort to be out there and let people know who I am and get name recognition, I had a booth at Granby Charter Days.
Oh, we didn't go there, but we always donate to Charter Day. We donate gift certificates for the fishing derby. And we do a lot of donations to the community, like the Granby Library. We give them gift certificates for their summer reading program, and Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, the DARE program at the schools. We donate. A lot of people come in and ask us for donations because I usually do not refuse them. And we feel that the community's been good to us, so we give back to them.
That's great. Talk about...
I was going in reference to what my wife was saying about the business. Last night when I came in, the gentleman was sitting at my counter, and he's been coming in for the last 18 or 20 years. And very, very nice guy. Got to know him through the years. And he owns 7 McDonald's.
Wow.
Yes, and he's been coming into my restaurant for years.
Doesn't eat at McDonald's then.
Well, yeah, and I say to him, and extremely nice fella, and I said to him, why do you come in here? He lives locally, and he said, well, I enjoy the atmosphere, and the girls are very friendly, and I like your food and everything, and I get a chance to look at the perspective of a bigger business, which is McDonald's. Now, obviously, owning one McDonald's is one thing, but if you own 7 of them outright, obviously, and just to give you his story, in relation to the food business, he started off part-time in high school as a maintenance guy, and high school degree, high school education, and he got a job finally part-time. Took it more hours on second shift, became a shift supervisor. A number of years later, he got promoted to first shift, assistant manager, general manager, owner with a high school degree. and a great work ethic. And it's nice to see him come into my restaurant. And I always tell the girls, I says, you never know when you're serving somebody who's going to come walking through your door.
You're absolutely right. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that speaks to a lot of the challenges that businesses have today, where they're being mandated to pay, a certain minimum wage, an increased minimum wage. Everyone wants a living wage, and everyone deserves to make as much money as possible. But you have to start somewhere, and a minimum wage is a start. But if you are hardworking and if you're dedicated, you can move up the chain. This is a perfect
That's
example.
a good example of somebody that moved in up to a large business and been very successful, and nothing more than a high school education, so you can succeed, and hard worker.
Yeah.
He said, I used to pick up hours when nobody else wanted them.
Right.
And and he comes in my restaurant once, twice a week. He's been doing it for my 15, 18, 20 years we've been open.
There are tremendous opportunities out there. So I talk about my own. I have 5 brothers and sisters. We all. I'm the only one who went to college, but I didn't go to college until I was 30 years old. I as I said, I had to work, and going to college once you have a full-time job and a 2-year-old son isn't something that you really give a thought to. So I didn't go until later, and Cambridge College made it weekend and nighttime classes available. But my whole family is working class people, and we've all succeeded. My brother Mark was a bag boy at Big Y, and that's a whole nother family-owned, operated business. But he is now a big manager for the Big Y. He's been there his whole career. He's never left. He's got 3 children. He's an adoptive parent. He's an amazing community person. But he manages many of their stores. They actually move him around so that he can go in and help oversee their various stores.
When you were talking about the ice cream experience, I was thinking of my ice cream experience. When I was a young boy, I lived in Springfield, and I wouldn't call it actually running a business, but the very first Friendlies opened up down the street from me. And I could actually see it from my doorway of my house. And I wouldn't call this business, but I used to go down to Friendlies and eat their ice cream cones. And Curtis and Presley,
Yes.
the Blake brothers, were there, and they were the only 2 people in the restaurant serving us at that time.
Isn't that something?
Well.
You're aging yourself just a little bit, but I guess I'm right there with you, because I remember sitting at the counters they had. I loved sitting at the Friendlies. There was one in Holyoke and Pine Point.
That was the first Friendlies, and
Okay.
that's where they opened, and that's where they started in 1935, and when war came out, and so
Right, and look at the business they've built.
Yep.
Right, 2 brothers
2 brothers. Yeah.
starting a small restaurant, and now employ hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So let's talk about your 20th anniversary. What's going on tomorrow?
Well, we're having a bounce house, an obstacle course, a dunking booth, cotton candy, a live DJ starting at 2, and after that, DJ music. And then at 5 o'clock, we're having a car show. So if anybody has an older car or a car they want to show off, please come down. And it's our first, we had one years ago, but this is really our first big one, car show. And we're going to have a 50-50 raffle with the proceeds being donated to DARE. And 20-cent hot dogs all day long, 20-cent long hot dogs. So you can come and try out our hot dogs and have some ice cream and a good time. Bring your kids and have fun with us.
Talk about that hot dog. Did I not hear that you won, Mass Live named you?
Yeah,
you
the
won a big award.
Well, that was something nice. That was a very pleasant surprise when they were doing 75 local establishments. That they mentioned like Red Rose Pizza and everything, and a couple other well-known places, Mrs. Murphy's Donuts, and we didn't know anything about the photographer or the fellow that we didn't know anything about it. He came up, and I had my son make a hot dog, and told him what had happened, that we were one of the spots chosen for the long hot dog, and on the way out, he took a picture of a dog. We have a Doggy Delight Sunday, and he didn't tell us that. We didn't know. And my son called up and said, "Dad, you got to look at the front page of the Springfield paper today." I said, "How come?" He said, "Well, just look at the front page." So I look at the front page, and he had taken a picture of his little small dog with his tongue hanging out, and little doggy Sunday with and he was about a foot from him, and he was licking it. So we got recognized, which I thought was nice because they were doing strictly local in Western Mass.
Right. Well, that's something to be very proud of. That's something to be extremely proud of. Good
Yeah,
for
we
you.
are. We are.
Very good. So I think the weather is supposed to be amazing tomorrow.
Yep.
And I'm probably going to come out and see you. And I have a motorcycle. I don't,
Well, that's great.
Is
We
it-
do.
can I
we
put
do,
that in the show
Oh
if I come
yeah,
out?
you can.
Okay.
We do get a lot of motorcyclists that come for a ride because we're a destination point.
Yep.
And a lot of people on their bikes come, and a lot of people with old cars come. Even when we're not having a car show, they just like to come and bring their cars. So
There's a certain feel. And again, I think that not only are you a successful couple who started and operates and owns your own business, but the type of business you have, it's very nostalgic. It's very unique. As I said, I read about it. There aren't that many drive-ins left, are there? Do you know about? Do you have a group or a club of drive-in type restaurants that talk to each other? Or?
No, there's very few. I know. Well, here in Palmer, you've got Rick's Parkside right up the street. They're strictly takeout. But like him, there's not many of him left either.
Right.
And if you drive around the areas, and we do take drives, and we like to take rides, my wife and I, in the country and different spots. And there are some locally, but that's the one that comes to my mind. I haven't seen many, and very few that you can actually go in and sit down.
Well, I'm thrilled that I found you. As I said, I participated in the Granby Charter Days so that I could get my name out in my effort to be elected state senator. And when I drove by, I pulled up and said, "Well, I have some time before I have to go set up my tent." Your staff were delightful. It was raining, but so they were very lovely. The serving portion was phenomenal. I've been back twice since, and my husband, who is helping me, actually likes ice cream even more than I do. So
it's good to know.
we're thrilled to have found you. So let's see. We have been running Cindy's Drive-Thru for 20 years. You've raised 6 children, and that's it, right? You're done? You're going to relax?
No,
and,
actually, no. I wish I could say. Well, there's 2 things that are going to keep us from relaxing. One of them is through the years, our customers, they've asked us for 2 things: a car show, which I've talked to Bruce about a couple of times. I see him, at the record hops for the Doo-Wop Society. And the other thing is expansion, because you do have a lot of people that come in here that take rides, and we're so small, and we've actually had to take some items off our menu. And we got a real eye-opener. Maybe this is down the road, if you get elected, where you can help, is we hired an engineer to come out and see what he could do and draw up plans for expansion of our business. And he came back about a month later, and he said, "Let me sit down and go over the results with you." And this is if we even get larger, we want to increase it 1 person more. He said, "This is what you're going to have to do according to the laws that are in place now. You are going to have to build a brand new septic system out in the back. You're going to have to move your grease trap, which has been in the ground, which we first put in when we moved into Granby. Then you're going to have to move your well. And your well has to be a certain distance away from the property, which means you now have to buy 3 acres of land if someone's willing to sell it to you. So all total, you have about a $250,000 cost with regulations to add 1 more seat. This is not the town. The town has been extremely good to us through the years. Ever since we got into Granby, the town has gone out of their way, and the representatives on the planning board, the health department, the fire department, the police department, you couldn't ask for anything better, the way we've been treated. And this has nothing to do with them. This is state regulation. So I think that's something that we had to put on hold until we could examine a little further the other options that we have, because obviously I don't think sewers are coming in there anytime shortly.
No.
So that's our dilemma to go a little longer during the year and provide what a lot of the customers would like to see us go a lot later into the season.
Right. So so I guess this is a great roll into another reason that I'm hosting this radio show. Obviously, I want to be your next state senator. Granby is part of the district, and therefore, the people who live and work there, you're going to be the ones who vote for me. And understanding what it is you need from me when I'm in Boston is part of this process. And it's also part of the process for folks who are listening, because the folks that are listening need to understand that I am a business-minded person. I am someone who's going to go to Boston and understand that asking a small business person to spend $250,000 in unnecessary regulatory expenses so that they can add seats and create jobs just doesn't make sense.
It was like 200. Now that was if the person, whoever owns the land, was willing to sell. So you're talking $250,000, and you haven't done anything physically to the building.
Right.
So that's way out of our budget. I mean, we just can't afford anything. Can't even consider it.
Right. So here we are as a state saying that, boy, our economy is suffering and we need to create jobs. And we throw money after money in coming up with programs and studies and doing all of this when in actuality, all we have to do is leave you alone, right? Leave you alone and let you grow your business and stop regulating. And that is absolutely something that I will bring with me to Boston. That's a promise, because it's what I've done my entire life. I've run nonprofit, business-oriented organizations who focus on small businesses like yourself.
That's why we came on the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We're going to take one short break, and then I want to come back and talk to you about your plans for expansion, not here, but elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Cindy's Drive-In invites the whole family to celebrate its 20th anniversary with a live broadcast with Real Oldies 1250's Bruce Marshall from 2 to 5, and the party doesn't stop there. Bring out the classic cars for a good old-fashioned cruise night with DJ Bruce Marshall from 5 to 8. The kids will enjoy a bounce house, a dunk booth, cotton candy, inflatable obstacle course, and many activities all day. Happy 20th anniversary, Cindy's Drive-In. See you on July 12th with a rain date of Sunday, July 13th.
How many times do you see a politician and realize they just don't get it? That's why Deborah Boronsky is running for state senate. Deb's not a politician. She's a successful businesswoman who founded local and regional chambers of commerce to fight for businesses and families in Western Mass. Deb truly understands that high taxes, government waste, and ineffective spending are the things that are preventing our economy from growing. So let's send Deborah Boronsky to Beacon Hill. Deborah will listen to us because she's one of us, and we deserve to be heard. Paid for by the committee to elect Deborah Boronsky.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Taking Care of Business. This is Deborah Boronsky. I am the president of the Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce and candidate for state senate in the 1st Hamden, Hampshire district. By the way, that's East Longmeadow, Hamden, Wilbraham, Belchertown, Granby, Ludlow, and parts of Chicopee and Springfield. I am here this afternoon with two really fun people, Cindy and Anthony Maloney, who are the owners of Cindy's Drive-In. We've been talking for a good 50 minutes about their 20 years in business, about their trials and tribulations, their tremendous success, their award-winning hot dogs, their delicious ice cream, and their 20-year anniversary celebration, which is taking place tomorrow. For anyone who just tuned in, tomorrow, Cindy's Drive-In has their 20th anniversary party. It's all day, beginning at 11 o'clock with the bounce house. They have face painting and live DJ, obstacle course. There's a car show starting at 5. Did you say $1.50 hot dogs?
No, 20-cent hot dog.
20-cent hot
dog. For
dog.
our 20 years, so we're going to have 20-cent long
I
dogs.
thought $1.50 was a bargain. Okay, so a 20-cent hot dog for your 20
to
years.
show our appreciation to all our customers and to introduce ourselves to new customers that are in the area
That's great.
or coming
That's
for a
great.
ride.
Well, hopefully they'll take advantage of that. Tomorrow's going to be a gorgeous day, and I actually intend to be there for anyone who
Great.
who would like to meet me. I'll probably come out for the car show.
Okay.
And so I've learned a lot about you guys, and I was kind of being a wise guy before we went off the air. I was like, and so now, after 20 years, you're going to take it easy, and I know you have more plans.
We do. As you know, we had, my wife and I had purchased Rice Fruit Farm in the town of Wilbraham. It came about, we weren't really interested in doing anything else, but my second boy, Dominic, who lives in Wilbraham, him and his wife, and they have 3 children there, used to go to Rice Fruit Farm when they were open. And they were established in 1893 by Jesse Rice, who was well known throughout the area. The first peach festival, I think the first peaches grown in the state were actually there, and award-winning apples and everything. And it became available about 4 years ago on the market, and my son had asked me to look into it, and I said, well, not really, I'm too busy with my restaurant. And then he kept pestering me. He said, Dad, he says, I think we can do something here and this and that. So finally, we decided, I said, okay. I said, let me take a close look at it. And that had been shut for 2 years. And we had talked to the real estate agent, and some of the ideas that were being thrown apart were taking the building down and doing other renovations that had nothing to do. So we wanted to restore the building to the way it was. And we needed the financing. We went to the bank. We talked about it.
Did you talk to Frank Canning?
No, I did stop in Frank's office one day and let him know. I left a message that, Frank, I might be needing you in the future, and I'm in Wilbraham with you, And so the opportunity arose, and being closed, this is a huge venture.
It's a huge building.
It's a huge building. The family did the best they could with it. Jesse had owned it, and when we went in, our goal was to keep everything the same as far as the name, and also to renovate the building, keep it basically like it is, a farm stand. However, bring it into the 21st century with new electrical, new plumbing, new water. They had the left side of the building was a sunroom that had deteriorated over the years and was leaking. And it was in the summer, people were too hot, and in the winter, people were too cold. So we hired a subcontractor who's been very excellent, this fellow by the name of Steve Robinson out there. He's wonderful. He's treated us extremely well. We've worked hand in hand with also our electrician, another local individual, Craig Little, also, who's been in there. And actually, they've gone above and beyond just the renovation. They've actually taken a great part of interest in it.
Well, it's a historical.
It is a historical building.
It has tremendous meaning to the town of Wilbraham. I lived in Wilbraham for a very little while, and it means a tremendous amount. I'm sure the people of Wilbraham are thrilled that you're doing this.
The people are thrilled. They come in sometimes 10 or 15 times a day stopping in. And the town, again, we were very fortunate with the town of Wilbraham, just like Granby. They've been very supportive. The planning board, they have helped us. Any obstacle that has come to the building inspector, the health inspector, everything, the plumbing inspector, electrical, they've done what they can to help us move forward. And this is the centerpiece of the town.
Yes, it is.
And we kept the same name. We actually kept the same sign. We redid it. And what we're going to do is bring ice cream there.
Oh,
that
good.
we know. We've renovated the whole left side of the building. It put us in financial, we've had to go to the bank, obviously, and they've been working with us because I think they realize the importance of this building. And we're very, very enthusiastic about the opening.
When do you anticipate that taking place?
We've missed a couple dates already. And I'm hoping that maybe by the fall, that we will be open. So
by this fall?
Yes.
That is so exciting.
And one thing, we are going to stress local farmers, local products. As much as we can, we're going to do that. That's one of the things that we had already decided upon prior to opening.
That is a wonderful thing to hear. You know, if we support our local businesses, businesses themselves. So as an individual, as a resident in East Long Meadow, I try to do all of my purchasing locally. You know, I shop at the local stores. Even as a candidate, I am purchasing my supplies not from big online sign companies. I am buying from the businesses in my district so that I can be supporting the local businesses.
I had a lady about a month ago that came in. She was an older woman, and she pulled up, and she said, "I want to buy a pie." And I said, "Geez, I'm sorry, ma'am. We're still closed for renovation." I said, "Well, give me your name." And I said, when we open, she says, "Okay." She said, "I live out near Boston, but please call me."
I love it. I love it. We are almost out of time here, and I just want to say that I have been thrilled to have the two of you as my guests today. I'm looking forward. I will definitely be out sometime tomorrow. For those of you who are listening, we've been talking with the folks from Cindy's Drive-In, and they're having their 20th anniversary. I was going to say your 20th wedding anniversary. It just came into my head. They're having their 20th anniversary tomorrow, and it's an all-day event beginning at 11. We hope that you'll go out there. My name is Deborah Boronsky, and I am running for state senator in the 1st Hamden, Hampshire district. You can go to my website, which is boronskyforsenate.com, to learn all about me, and give me a call. And I'll also chat with you about a few upcoming events that I have. If you'd like to know more about supporting me, I have an event taking place on the 24th of this month at Bertucci's in Longmeadow. Karen Polito will be a guest. I have an event on the 30th of July at Bentley's in East Longmeadow. Again, you can come out and support me. And then we have a family fun day on Sunday the 27th at the Elks Lodge in Springfield. More to come with something at Cold Spring in Belchertown in August. Lots of ways to meet me and support me if you like the idea of having someone like myself going to Boston to represent you and your interests. I am one of you. I have grown up and lived and worked in this district for 27 years, and I would love to represent you. So until next week, have a great week, and thank you for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Real Oldies Station. Real